I am foyleman from monsonline.com, and I'm here to bring you the second of two video tutorials on working with the Sandbox 2 editor for the Crysis game. And this is the editor that came with this Crysis single-player demo. And this is also an extension of the Crysis 101 video that I did. By the way, that I did a Crysis 101 version 2 video recently, very quickly right after the version 1, because I needed to get some more points across, something in a little more detail for you, just in case you weren't sure what you watched. Now, what I want to do in this video is I want to go through some new areas. I want to expand upon what I've already begun. I want to go through some texturing. I want to go in through adding some buildings, some player AI with make a player patrol something, throw in a vehicle, and just toy with some ideas to really expand on using the editor and how to make maps. Now, I've already loaded up my editor. Here it is. And I want to go ahead and start creating a new map. So I'm going to go to File, New. Now I'm going to blow right through this because I've already done the first video. Test 2, I'll call this, because I called the first one Test 1. And this is my rough view, so I'll go to File, Generate Surface Texture. Default settings are okay, so that I get a better idea of where I am in this. And I'm going to look up, move up, there we go. Now I'm going to go up to my terrain, Edit Terrain, and I'm going to generate terrain. I'll click that button up there and leave the default settings, click OK. Let's see if that's what I'm looking for. That's kind of interesting. I think I can do better than that. Click OK. And I could work with parts of this. It's alright. I'm going to keep generating my terrain until I come up with something that ooh, that's interesting. Something that I like more. And I think I like this one. I think I like working right in this area. So I'm going to click OK. Let's see if I can figure out where that area is. I'm dragging myself up higher and higher so that I can see better. And I think this is the area that I want to work in. Yeah, I think that's going to be very cool with a little cove here and stuff. Alright. Now let's get some texturing in here because I can't deal with this bright white stuff. Zoom way up first. Okay. Now, let's go into our terrain texture. Let's create some textures here. Now, last time in the first video, I just used the default texture. Well, I'm going to start making new texture layers. I'm going to start working with texture layers themselves so that I can define this texture and this texture and that texture, and then I can just start laying them out. So I'm going to click on this button here for New, and I'm going to create sand. Sand is going to be one of them. Another one that I'm going to be creating is going to be sand dirt, and another one I'm going to be creating is called grass, because I'm going to fade from sand into sand, dirt, into grass. That's how I want to blend things, okay? So I'm going to go to sand first and load a texture. Actually, all of them are going to have this beach white sand as the base texture. So I'll just apply that to all of them. Okay, now I'll go back to sand here. Now I need to select my materials. So Edit Surface, and I'm going to add here. Double-click Surface Type 1, so I can rename it to sand. I'm going to name it the exact same name as I named this because it's easier for organization. Then I'm going to click Material Editor. I want to expand Materials. I want to expand Terrain. And I want to look right up here and look at Beach White Sand. Sounds perfect. Close the window and pick Selected. So I see it here. That means I selected it for the sand. I'll click OK. And then I have to say Surface Type is Sand. Perfect. Okay, let's go to Sand Dirt. Sand Dirt's next. Let's go to Edit Surface Type and Material Editor. And the Sand Dirt, I'm going to pick Beach Dirt. And then I'm going to close the window. And I'm going to click Pick Selected. And it says Plains Dry Grass. Oh, you know what? I forgot to add. Alright, click Add. Double click. Type Sand Dirt. See, it's good that I make mistakes because that way I can show you where I made the mistake and how I fix it. Now I can go to my Materials Editor. Beach Dirt. Close that. Pick Selected. Click OK. And now I can Surface Type, Sand Dirt. Great. Let's go to Grass. Edit Surface Type. Add. Let's call it, double click it and call it Grass. Okay. Let's go to Pick Selected. Material Editor because we haven't picked one yet. And I like, as you may know, Plains, Grass, Dry, Green and Dry. There it is. Close that off. And I am going to Pick Selected. Click OK and Edit Surface Type. Sand. Nope. Grass. Alright. And make sure they're all looking good for the surface types. They all look pretty good. And I'm going to click OK. I'm done with that. Now I'm ready to start applying my texture. Well, almost. Let's go over to here to the roll-up bar on the right-hand side and click the second tab, which is our Terrain tab. Click Layer Painter. Now I want to assign some base colors to each of these three items. So first let's start with the sand and click this bright white here, this white block, so we can change the color to something sandier. I'm going to leave it in the whitish area. I want it to be a tiny bit brown if I can find out where that is. I'm going to move this up so that I can see it really turn brown. And then I'm going to just brownish green right in there. All right. Then I'm going to really turn it down to like an off-white color, like sand. Sand's almost never bright white. It's usually off a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to try. You know what? I'm going to write that down. This red, green, blue, because I want to apply the same color to my sand dirt. All right. So this red is 231. The green is 230, and the blue is 216. I will click OK. And then press to layer. That saves it to that layer. Now I'll go to sand dirt. Pick that color, and I'm going to just type right in here. I'm going to go 231, hit the tab to the next one. I could just move the mouse, but tab's easier. 230 and 216. Click OK, and then to layer. Finally, the grass. Now I'm going to actually click this color, and I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm not going to save it in that color. And I'll show you why. 231. 230, 216. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it green. Remember I chose something towards green, greenish brown. So I'm going to bring it up here. I'm going to make it a little more green so that I'm really kind of in the same tone. Click OK. To layer, and I think that'll look okay. And if it doesn't, we'll adjust it later. All right. Pick my sand. I want everything to be sand. So I'm going to raise this radius because I'm ready to start painting it, but I know it's going to be tiny circle. I don't know if you can see that tiny circle down there by my mouse. Ugh, too small. All right. Radius all the way up. I'm going to left click and drag just a touch to apply that texture. Now if I was doing this thing for real, if I really wanted like a well done, super clean, professional looking map, I wouldn't just guess that my mouse that I'm properly texturing everything. I would make sure I go around the entire map and have everything exactly textured. And you should care the same. Okay, I hope that last one does it. That one was it. Now I'm going to just make sure I've got this area one more time, and then lower my size. Zoom. There we go. Now I'm going to zoom back in. Oh. Sometimes it thinks that it's over here, so when I hit the W key, it just goes ding. That's not right. Zoom in. Now I've got this texture, which should look, yep, there it is. It looks kind of sandy. Go up to File, Save. We want to save often. I found out that, well, if you guys worked with the rating net or anything like that, you'll know that you have to save every single move you make, because one screw up, you lose everything. It's not as bad with this editor, but it's still, if something crashes, and it has crashed on me, you're going to lose what you lose up to the point where you last saved. So save, and that way you don't have to worry about losing all the work that you've done. All right, now I'm going to start putting in some of that other kind of sand. This sand dirt. But now I don't want to just plop it on there where like there's what looks like a fairly hard edge between sand and sand dirt. So I'm going to lower this down to about 25%. It says 23. Close enough. All right, and now I'm going to sort of skim the edges of things. I wanted to go from sand to sand dirt. And I want to go around it just like this. And you see I'm doing these circles? I kind of lost my place there. Okay. I'm doing circles. If you've ever applied car wax before, you know that in order to get a very even application of car wax, the directions tell you to do small circles. Well, the same actually helps when working with texturing on maps. Because as I do my small circles, I am better assuring an even coverage. using my WASD keys to move around while right-clicking and dragging to change my angle. I can actually do that at the same time as I texture this island over here. As you can see, I'm just trying to get the edges to be sandy. And I'm probably only going to be working with this part of the island. So I am not going to keep going because that would just be a waste of your time and the download of all this file. So I'm not going to get too crazy over there. Although if I wanted to distribute this later, I would get that crazy. I think I only have to go to here. There we go. Now I've matched. I've gone all the way around the area that I plan on working. Let me zoom in a little bit more. And if I zoom in just right, you can kind of see here's the sand dirt. That looks good. Okay, now I'm ready to put on some grass, and I'm hoping that it looks good when I put it on. I'm going to leave this hardness really way down because I sort of want it to blend into this sand dirt that I've done, and I only want a little bit of it showing. I think the color looks good. I think it really blends with what's going on, and you see it. And what helped is that I kept everything in that same tone by writing down my colors, starting off with those rough colors, and then using that as my base. And you'll notice that I am not being very precise on how evenly I cover things. I'm doing that on purpose because I want it to feel like it's really fading from the sand dirt into the grass. And I'm only going around the edges again because I'm going to widen my radius and the hardness to do the rest of it in a moment. Yes, I know, I'm sorry, this is going to take a little while. And you know what I'm going to do to solve that problem? I'm going to pause the video here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue to texture this out. And then I'm going to come right back. Alright, I'm going to texture this out in a little bit. And during that time, I'm also going to raise the hardness all the way up, raise the radius, not too much, just enough so that I can work properly, a little bit bigger than that. And I am going to do this. Fill in all that area so it's all nice and green like this. And I'm not going to go too close to the edge that I already did because I like that fadedness. If I accidentally overrun it, you know, that's okay because nature isn't perfect either. And that's what I'm going for. Okay, so I'm going to continue texturing this and I'll be right back in a moment. Back now. I have finished texturing things up. I have gone to File and Save. I've actually had to retexture everything all over again because with the recording of the video and everything, it crashed. And you know when the last time I saved, it was right before I started texturing, so I had to start all over again. But you kind of see, I paid closer attention to what I did on this little island here that I plan on working on. Alright? I plan on working on this area. And everything else, I just threw some green on or some white on, and I just did what was necessary in order to make it look okay for this video, and I wanted things to look okay from a distance too. There. Just, I don't think anyone will even notice that things are textured the way that they are when looking from a distance. There. Okay. See, I even finished up a little bit. Close enough. Alright, File, Save. Make sure we're all saved up. Now, next thing I want to do is I want to start getting ready to put in some sort of interesting stuff. Alright. I'm thinking of the player starts in this area, right, this little cove, and then over here there's a road. I'm thinking that there is a road that leads from... I don't want to go too crazy. So let's say the road leads from here, from right in here. Let's say they allow ships in here. No, it seems so shallow. Alright, let's just say they do. Let's say they allow ships or whatever to go on in here, and then this is where they do their loading and unloading, and that there's a road that runs right through here, and over into here where there's going to be a guard house, where there's guys patrolling, and they have some sort of big armored vehicle kind of thing going on. Alright, so what we need to do is zoom in, and you'll notice, look at this, things are just really, really too bumpy. They're just far too bumpy. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go up to here and modify. I'm in my second tab, terrain, modify. And I want to smooth things out a bit first. Let's raise that radius. Okay. Because, first of all, they're just too hard. It's just far too difficult for me to start seeing how things should be leveled out for the road. But if I smooth it out, things are going to start to make more sense to me. Wherever the player is going to be running, you don't want too many hills and too many crazy things going on, because crazy by like really sharp hills and kind of things like that, because it'll just be difficult for the player to traverse that kind of area, to run across it. So what you want to do is you want to smooth it out and make it easier for the player to handle. So he doesn't have to like jump up onto a mountainous area. Unless, of course, you're trying to make him jump, or you're trying to keep him from a certain area. You know, that kind of stuff, that makes sense. But in the case of our map here, we want the player to be able to run around. So we kind of need it to be smoothed out a lot. If you think about it, islands aren't going to be fairly smooth with all the hurricanes or hard winds, tsunamis maybe even, that they get going on in here. So I am just trying to run this smoother out, and as you can see when I look in real close, see what it's doing? It's not really changing a lot. It's just making it easier to run across. It's still bumpy, just not as harsh, not as crazy, not as sharp bumpy. Now I'm paying more attention into this area over here. I probably should level it out a lot more than that. I wouldn't know until actually playing it, and I don't want to get into that part. You should just keep playing and play testing and leveling and play testing and leveling until you feel like you've got what you need to go with. Now remember, I said that the player is going to be running up here. What if the player was going to be running up instead of right there? He runs over here, or runs over here. Well, let's just prepare that so it's not like he's trying to fight his way up the hill while he's trying to walk up that hill. Bumpiness is nice, but it's got its place, and this really isn't it. Now, yeah, this could end up changing things for the way everything is textured. You might want to go back and retexture. But I find that it's important to texture first, because you really can't see the definition, the way that things are going to be going, until you actually texture it, because that texturing helps you see what you're working with and how you plan on working on it. And then, as you smooth it out, then it starts to take its shape. You know what you're doing. Of course, there are many cases that you're just going to have a plan. You're going to have a drawing of everything that you plan on doing right away. Okay, I'd say we're good to go now. I'm going to go up here and find I'm safe. I don't want to crash again. Okay, now we're going to get ready for some sort of road. We're going to say, alright, the player is going to have some sort of road that comes over to here with some sort of thing going on over here. And I keep wondering, should it be over there? Should it be over here? You know what? Maybe I should just leave all that alone. Put it over here. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. That makes more sense. I'm going to have a road that goes from here. Actually, I'm going to have the road that goes all the way through. But this is going to be the main area. And we'll just ignore that. Pretend that there's a road that runs all the way through there. And we won't even deal with that. Now, what a road needs is a much, much flatter surface. Of course, you can try and do some things. We don't have ATVs. We're pretending we're working with trucks here. We need to flatten things out. Let's go to brush settings and let's go to flatten. Don't just start pressing flatten. No. Let's raise our radius up a bit. There we go. And what we want to do is, I'm trying to get an angle here so I can see things as they flatten while still seeing the top of things. We want to figure out what height we're working with. What is going to be the base height, the lowest height that we want to work with? Do we want to say we run up from here and everything is flat from that point? Because I'm trying to find the lowest level. Let's say this is the lowest level. If I hold the control key down and then left click, you saw that little, I'll do it again, you saw that little eyedropper. What it did was it took a sample of that height. So now everything that I paint on, left click and drag, is going to end up at that height. So now we're smoothing it out. So that when we throw a road in here, we can have little high moments like that. That's kind of cool, right? And yeah, we can have digs in this road if we wanted to. I happen to know it's low over there, so I'm not so worried about like making this kind of a dig. If we want, we can have this whole thing driving through a valley, which is really kind of cool. And in our case, that whole valley idea really works out, because when the player tries to look down the valley, you can't see where the road goes. So it's sort of like blocking his line of sight. Okay, I don't want to change anymore. You know what? The truck can drive up that. Let's do some more smoothing. But I want to really, really, really smooth it. Really smooth it. And then I want to find a playing ground right in, what is it? Right around here. I'm going to flatten it out to halfway between the lowest and the highest point. Control, left click, get that height. And everything else I'm going to flatten out at that level. Well, not everything. Only that which is higher. I don't want to make the lower spots higher. I just want to make the higher spots lower. Almost there. It's a bad angle. Here we go. It's important that this area is very, very flat. For well, as not very, very flat, but flat enough that I can. Oh, and look what I did. All right, we can fix that. See, we'll smooth it out. Really smooth it out. We'll do that over here. I'll smooth it out. See how everything just sort of takes shape here? I want less of an angle, less steepness going on over here. The rest of it can stay nice and steep like that. But I really should run along this edge so I know that it's not sharp in any places, because that would just kind of be weird. But I'm going to drag over it real fast. Okay, let's see what this looks like. This is kind of weird. Do that. And this is pretty weird too. So I'm just going to run the smoothness right over it real fast. And sort of going to make it look like it's carved out, but like it's been like that for a while. Maybe they didn't carve it out. Maybe it's been like that for something else, for nature. Who knows? But it'll work for this little example that we're doing on there. Okay. A little more right there. Good. Now we have what we want. Almost have what we want. You know why? Because we probably want to know how. Well, it's good enough. Okay, good enough. Now we're going to put in some sort of road. Remember I told you we're going to do a road here. And we want to figure out how to create our road that goes from one point to the other and still looks kind of sandy. Let's throw the road in first, and then we'll know how to terrain everything else. Okay, this is the cool part. Let's go up to File, Save, make sure we're all saved up. All right. And we're ready to put in our road here. We're going to go up to our objects, this first tab on the roll-up bar over here. We're going to go to Miscellaneous, and in here we're going to find Road. Okay? Now, where we first click is where the road starts, and when we last click, well, where we last double click is where it ends, but each click in between allows us to create a turn of some sort. So I'm thinking of a road that goes zoom, 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 zoom. All right. So let's say it starts somewhere right over here, and the road goes here. I need to come in, right click so I can turn, and then move with the WASD keys. Any of these weird type of shapes that we end up with, we can fix that later. Hopefully that's not a double click in there. What happens if I can... No, I won't do that. Alright. I'll fix it if it is a weirdness. I'm having trouble seeing where our little path is. The path goes through here. And double click, and that finishes our road. There's our road. I don't know what I've got going. Oh, maybe it's just the terrain is maybe doing that? Yeah, the terrain is doing that. We'll just smooth that out and make that fixed later on. What's that spot on the terrain? Okay, so now we need to texture our terrain. And I'm going to show you something very cool in here. Right up here, if you right-click Perspectives, you can choose a different viewpoint, right? But you can also go to Configure Layout. So I want you to click Configure Layout. And I want to click this split in half so that there's a piece on the top, piece on the bottom. And then click OK. Now here's our map on the bottom, and here's some sort of other window up here. Right-click the word Map to change this view. Go to View, and go over to Material Editor. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to find this material and apply it to this road. But I'm going to be able to see both items at the same time. So I'll expand materials, I'll expand terrain, and I'll expand road next. Way down here is something called road. Yes, there's these roads, but there's also a folder called roads. Open that one up. And in here you want to find one called, let's see, I'm also checking my notes, Tracks on Sand. I wrote that down just in case. Is there one called Tracks on Sand? No, there's not. So what did I? Road Tracks on Sand. That's what I'm looking for. Road Tracks on Sand. That I found was the best one to work with all this kind of stuff. I've selected it. I still have my road selected. I'm going to right-click and assign to selected objects. Click that. Now when I zoom in, I'm going to have sand. Right? Isn't that cool? Alright. But it looks kind of strange, right? Strange on that grass. Well, we're going to texture sand over top, around that so that it makes more sense for us. Now I'm just going to go to View, Configure Layout, and I'm going to change it back to this. I want to show you how this little Configure Layout works. If I needed to make some adjustments to my road, if I wanted to turn some things a little bit differently, let's see, I should be able to go down to this Edit button, but the Edit button's not highlighted. I can fix that. Click the ground, click the road again. You have to click on that line. Now the Edit button's available. Remember I told you that might happen. And now you can click in this, and you see I'm drawing on each of these points. That's every time pretty much every time I clicked, and plus it puts a few points in between. And I can drag out my road a little bit differently. And this is really strange to have this turn right in here. And then it comes through here, which looks okay, and it goes right on through to there. Alright, there's my road. I'm done editing. I'm going to uncheck that so it's not yellow anymore. Now I need to do some more texturing on this. I'm going to go to File, Save, make sure everything's saved, and I'm going to texture up. So I need to go back to my terrain, layer painter, and I'm going to sand dirt is what I want. Oops, I hit some bad buttons there. And I'm going to texture and where this road is, and I want to be texturing this area. See what I'm going to be doing? Now I could change how heavy this is, and I can change the blending a little bit differently. Again, example, tutorial, quick one. So, as quick as I can think of doing. Oh no. Save editor. Yes, but you know what? It's not going to save. I am going to pause here, and I will be right back with the map opened up again. I'm back again, recovering from my previous error. Errors can happen anytime. It's probably from my video recording, but you never know, which is why you should save often. Alright, and right before I left, I found out that I wanted to be leveling out some things in here. Like, see this giant bump that I didn't realize was there when I laid this terrain? You'll also notice that I also finished up some sand. I laid out some more sand here that follows the path all the way through. And in here I plan on doing some buildings and enemy stuff that I told you about. Alright, so if you haven't done that, pause this, go to there, do it, and then come back. I'll assume you came back now. Okay. And now let's fix this terrain issue that we have going on, where things aren't quite smooth enough. Well, it's actually really easy to fix. What we want to do is we want to go back to our objects here, because I was just doing some terrain stuff if you left by any chance, and go back to our miscellaneous where the road was, and I'm going to uncheck that, and then I'm going to be able to put my cursor on the blinking road spline there, and I'm going to be able to press this button called Align Height Map. Press it, and all of a sudden everything's going to level out really nice and smooth where the road is all the way across. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Perfect. Alright. So there we go. We got that road. Let's go back up to file, save, just in case I crash again, right? And now what we want to do is we want to start adding some of these objects. The objects, what do we want to load? Well, we are going to want to load the building. Let's go with the building first. Okay? So what is the building? The building is going to be located under... I'm checking my notes to make sure I got the right one. It's a geometry entity. And under... Let's see, where is it going to be? I really think it's under Library, Architecture, Multiplayer, Guardhouse. That's it. So I'm thinking what we're going to do is we're going to put in a guardhouse right over here. The guardhouse is where the guards hang out and watch anybody that's traveling where they shouldn't be. And on the other side of the guardhouse we'll put a vehicle. So let's grab the guardhouse. Now I can click and drag it like that, and then place the guardhouse where it needs to be. Alright, I'm going to zoom back in, and I don't like the guardhouse being on this bit of a hill. I think the guardhouse should be up here more. So I'm going to make sure I have this up here on the top of the editor. This is selecting objects. Well, this is moving objects, so I'm going to make sure that's selected. Then I can grab the Z and try and figure out where it went. Where'd you go? Alright, let's undo that. Whatever I just did, let's undo it. Okay, let's click the Z and drag it up. Click the X to move it in that direction. And just a little bit more to where I'd like it to go. I'd like it to go somewhere over here. Probably right over... Actually, I want it right over here. And I know it doesn't align to the terrain just the way we were talking, but I think I can fix that issue. Now, I have snap to grid on, so it's just snapping boom, boom, boom where things go. But if I get inside here and turn, you're going to see it's sticking through just too much. And then there's a gap under this side, so we've got to fix that. First of all, let's align the building a little bit better by adjusting our snap to grid up here. Right now, it's usually by default one whole unit. Let's point at 0.125 is a little bit better. I can move it up or down a little bit. And I think I'm going to leave it right there. And I'm going to smooth this terrain out. So let's go to our second tab and go to Modify, Smooth, or no, I want to flatten. That's exactly what I want to do. And I want to flatten it to the level that's right here. So Control, select that height, left click, and now I can draw that height in so that everything is perfectly level. right around the building. And the building looks like it's perfectly fit. And oh, I went over the road a little bit too much, huh? Alright, let's uncheck modify. Sometimes that fixes itself. Sometimes it doesn't. So in order to make sure that's correct, I'm going to go back to object. I'll click miscellaneous and uncheck it. That helps me properly select my road. Right down here, left click that line as I go over it. And you'll see it just fixed itself as I did that. And if you're worried about it not having fixed itself, you can click this line height map. It'll fix and it'll draw everything up. Although it looks like it drew everything up a little too high. Alright, let's go back to our objects and select this object. Let's move it up. And I don't like where it's going up. So I'm going to level out the terrain again, and I'm going to just hope that the road works itself out. It's really kind of like a work things out kind of thing as you go along. So I want to go back to my terrain. I want to go to modify, make sure I'm on flatten, control click. Looks like it's a little too much in some areas. Which is okay with me because I'm just going to undo modify, click my building and go up a tiny bit, and that should be perfect. There it is. Looks right all the way around the building. Looks like it's the right level, and if I go inside, I won't see any sand. If I wanted to, I could adjust it so that there's a little sand in there, but which is kind of cool sometimes to have a little sand in the corner. But we're done. I want the building to face this way. You know, if you didn't want it to face this way, up here is a rotate button. You can click, and you can rotate it. But I don't need to rotate it, because I feel like it should face that direction with the opening in the back. I think that makes the most sense. Alright. Now I've got a building. Let's throw in, next up, let's file save. And let's throw in some sort of vehicle over here. And to do that, what we want to do is go back to our objects, and go into entity. And then down here at the bottom is vehicles. I'll click that, and it didn't work, so I'll click it again. There it is. Now click something that says Asian, because our enemy is Asian. And if we click a US one, it turns out that the Asian enemy that we throw in there will automatically go into alert because there's a US vehicle there. We don't want that to happen. We want to pick something that's Asian. I can click truck. What I want to click is the Asian APC, because that's probably a vehicle you haven't got to check out, and it's kind of cool. Alright, so I'm going to click it. I'm going to click and drag it in. Don't crash on me. Alright, good. And then I'm going to adjust it. See, it could be in the sand. Could it be out on top? Well, I like to adjust it so it's just on top of the sand, or just really, really close. Click. It's in. Now there's a vehicle. Now you're like, well, what if it is in the sand? See that tire's in the sand? Or what if it's too high or too low? Well, I want to get off of rotate and go back to move so I can move this over just a little bit like that. Okay, so what do you do? Well, if you want to see how this thing's going to actually land, you can go into this button right here, AI Physics, that activates the physics for you. So click it now and watch. Give it a second and the truck will land on where it belongs. Now, if by chance, I unchecked physics there, if by chance it was in the ground like this, I mean check physics, watch. Picks itself back up. If you were above the ground, watch. Boom. It drops itself down. So I like to just try and find a happy medium so it doesn't go too crazy there. Perfect. And that's good for the tank truck kind of thing. I think we should move it in a little, sticking into the road a little bit. Move it over. We could actually put some road in here if we wanted to. Do a curve road. You can do that on your own. I'm not going to do it. Alright, let's go to file save. You know what? I think at this point we should actually check some things out. See how this game is playing. So now, usually if you were just starting from the beginning, you would have to load up another map. Because when you start a new map and you try to go into this to test it with your Control-G is the shortcut, then it would just not work. So what you want to do is you want to load up a junk map or something like that. I'm going to make sure it's saved. I know I think I just saved it. Always want to double check. And I like to go to File, Open. Oop, I pressed Save. File, Open. And I have a junk map. There we go. It's opening up now. And the junk map is just a map that I created. I said File New, and then I saved it. That's all I did. There is nothing else in this map but File New. Done. And that means I don't have to waste time waiting for all the pieces of my my new map to load. No, all I have to do is load it up, and then I can go right back to my test 2 map, and it takes a lot less time to load from one to the other. And then close my errors window, because just ignore that. And then when I hit Control G, I will fall right into the map. I'll spawn right into the map as I expected. See, now I'm in here. And here's the road. Look at this. Actually, this is the first time you're seeing it inside this tutorial. Very nice looking, isn't it? See how that blends? It blended almost perfectly. I didn't go through all the details. And in this vehicle, you can actually get in. F to enter the vehicle. I can move around. I can shoot. That was right click, and left click is that little guy. Okay, escape, get out. You got the idea. Okay. Let's add some enemy AI in this thing, alright? Okay, I gotta get a move on in this video, because I just keep taking up too much time here. Enemy AI. To get to the enemy AI, we need to go to our archetype entity, because that's where we're going to find him. Now, in some cases, you're not going to see this Asian new thing here, and you have to load that up. So what you got to do is you got to go up to View, Open View Pane, and go to Database View. That's going to open up this window for you. Then you have to load this Asian new type. So make sure you're under Entity Library, click Open, and then here's Asian new, and then click Open. All right. I've already got it loaded. If I load it again, it'll give me an error. Then just close the window. And when you get to here, it might not show up. So just click any of these others, like Brush, and then go back to Archetype, and then boom, it'll be right there for you. So I'm going to open it up. I'm going to go to Camp, I guess, is fine. And pick any of these light ones with the demo, because these work with the demo. Light rifle, light shotgun, SMG. I'm going to pick SMG. And I'm going to click and drag him in there. Come on. Don't crash. There he is. And I'm going to one more click to pop him in there. Let's zoom in and see if he's actually in the map as he's supposed to be. Looks like I got him too low, because he's all crouchy like, right? So let's move him up. Okay, now I can keep pasting guys in here like crazy, right? I'm going to go to File, Save while he's in here, and I'm going to hit Control G and watch what happens when I'm in here. Nothing, right? He's right there. Ugh. Okay, let's get out. Why didn't he do anything? It's because I didn't go up to here. I didn't go to AI, Generate All Navigation. The navigation for what he's supposed to do hasn't been activated yet. So now I go in, Control G. He's like, oh, he's an alert. Now I have to kill him or be killed, right? Okay, you got the idea. So now we're ready with our enemy in here, and we could put enemies all over the place if we wanted to. But like I said, I wanted to go with the idea of a patrolling enemy enemy. I want to put some intelligence into him to make it look like he's walking somewhere. And I'm thinking of making him start here and go from here and just walk back and forth. Back and forth. And it's cool. It's very easy to make him go to one point, but a little more difficult to make him go to another, and then more to make him go back and forth, back and forth. And this editor comes with a very, very cool tool to make this all happen. Here's what we do. Okay, this gets a little complicated. What we want to do is we want to start adding some entities in order for this to work. First thing we need to do is we need to give it a trigger. We need to trigger his actions to start occurring. So let's go over to Entity, and let's go with the triggers. Alright, and we want to add an area trigger. So I'm going to click, drag, it pops it in. Let me, one more click, so it's above the ground. There it is. You see TA, that's trigger area. And I don't like the idea of it being right on him. I prefer it to be right near him. Oh, I must have misselected. Alright, there you go. So there's a TA. Okay, the trigger area. That means that area is going to be triggered for this guy, this entity, and we'll get into the flowchart of how things are triggered in a moment. And then we have to make the points of at where he's going to be positioned. How is he going to get to certain points? All right. So click up here to AI. We're still in the objects, the first tab, and click Tag Point. We're going to tag the points where he goes. And I want one right here. Actually, right over here sounds good. Let me move it up a little bit. See the ball? That's where he's going to end up. Oh, I must have deselected it. Let's make sure I'm where I think I am by zooming into that area. I keep accidentally selecting the wrong thing. That weird yellow area's got me confused. Alright, move it right around there. I'm thinking the edge of the road. A little more on the edge of the road. I'm thinking right there. Alright, that should be our first one. Now let's put another one. And now we can shift, click, drag, can we? Alright, what if I hold the shift and then drag? No, okay. Let's go to AI, tag point, and place a new one. Let's place it on this side. Height, looks like it's the same. Where's my arrow to move it back a little bit so that he walks right in front of things? There we go. So I'm going to have him start here. Then he's going to go to here and go back and forth and patrol this, sort of like I'm watching the area, don't get in my way. Sounds good. File, save. Now we have to assign the AI. Alright, let's get ready to assign the AI. Creating the AI, we need to open up another window. And instead of opening up a separate window, or instead of opening up a window over top of this, let's open up a window on top. Split this up into two, okay? So what I want to do is I want to right-click and configure my layout. I'm going to select top over bottom, click OK. That divides things up a little bit. And I'm going to right-click map, because what I want it to show, go to view, go to flow graph, I mean. Now we're going to have a flow graph. This is going to be a graph of how the enemy AI flows. And here I can see my map down below it, so I can see things as I make my changes. And I need to create a new one. So first of all, let's select our... Oh, I don't know. Let's select our trigger here. Sure. Okay. We need to go to File, New. Now we have a new graph to work with. Okay. So let's start by adding some interesting things here. Right-click it. Add node. First thing we need to do is we need to add a miscellaneous start, meaning that when the map starts, miscellaneous start. When the map starts, it starts this whole process of what we're trying to do. We can move this wherever we want. We're creating a flowchart. We're saying that this has an output, goes to something else, goes to something else. It's very cool how this thing works out. Okay, now this is going to trigger the enemy to start doing something. So first thing we need to do is say, let's go to a certain point, a certain position. Okay, so we want to go to Entity. We're going to add a new node. New node. Right-click, go to Add Node, go to Entity. Where's our entity here? And here we want it to say Entity Position, because we're going to be changing the entity position. And the other thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to change the Add Node AI and go to. Where is AI go to? AI go to speed stance is the one I like to do, because with AI speed stance we have a lot of extra things that we can adjust. Alright, so here we're going to say, here we start. Go to this position. Let's make him move to that position. Here we're going to assign the position. Here we're going to say go to that position. So here, let's see. First of all, let's select our player. I'm going to select on that little man in there if I can. Let me zoom in to make sure I am working out this. Yeah, I got the man. Alright. Let me just make sure. I'm never positive. Okay, yeah, I got the man. And let's select this AI go to. Right-click, assign selected entity. Okay, there we go. Camp, that's the guy. Okay, and we want him to go to this position over here. So I'm going to click that, click this, right-click, assign selected entity. So that's the position we want the guy to go to. And this AI go to speed stance allows us to say, oh, he can run or just walk. We're just going to leave all these default, but I'm just saying he could be stance relax, or he could be prone, crouch, combat, all kinds of crazy stuff. So we can really assign, we can make him crawl across the ground to that point if we want him to really go that way. Now we're going to say the output is going to sync. From the start, we're going to sync up the AI guy. And we want the position to be this position. See, I click that, drag it, now I got an arrow. Now if I were to go down here and want to watch this thing, I don't have to go into the map to watch it. I can click the AR physics. We played with that button a moment ago. So click it, give it a second, and everything's going to start working. And the guy's going to walk to that position. That's it. That's exactly what we asked him to do. I'm going to go and I'm going to turn off the AI physics now, and I'm going to go File, Save. So I have everything saved where I am. Now what I want to do is I want to make them go from this position to that position. And this is where things start to get a little crazy. We can put it to the right, to the bottom, left. I don't know. How's this going to work out on the screen? That's the tough part. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to assign him to go to another position. So we need another duplicate of these two items here. All right, so I'm going to right-click, go to Entity, Add Node, Entity, Position. Where's my entity? I'm not even thinking here. Entity, Position. Okay. And the position I want him to go to is this node over here. So I'm going to click that, and then right-click here, Assign Selected Entity. And then over here, I would normally want to select my what entity that I'm working with. All right. Now the other item that I need to do, Add Node. As I'm doing this, I'm kind of thinking, well, can't I just reuse this? I don't know if that's going to work, but it very well might. You know what? Why don't I just toy with that idea? Let's say it's going. I'm using the mouse scroll wheel to zoom in and out of here, and the right-click drag to change my view. Why don't I just try and fool with the idea that this works, that I can just keep reusing the same guy? Now, how do I say go whenever you reach this point? Let's go to over here. And I can never remember if it's done or succeed, so I usually just play with the idea of which one it is. So let's say I think it's succeed. So whenever I succeed going to this point, I want to go to this point. And the way we do that is we need to pick another item in. Well, I don't know if we actually need to pick another item in here. Let's try this. Let's see if this works. Position. Can I put another? I can't put another position in there, and that's why I have to do this. Okay. Add node AI go to speed stance. Did I just click the wrong one? Oh, that's good because I can show you. I can select it, press the delete key, and it's gone. So AI node stance, speed stance, go to. Okay, there you go. And I want to make sure I'm selecting the guy. Click that little person. Right-click this, assign selected entity. There you go. And now what I need to do is say position the guy. And I would normally say, when I'm done, when I succeed, let's sync up that. This one is silly. Let's get rid of that. I just drag it out into no man's land. I wonder what that looks like when I do this. Does it actually work? I have another thing planned. I'm just wondering if this works. So he goes to this point, and when he succeeds, yep, it does work. When he succeeds at reaching that point, he turns and goes to this point. And what I want to do is I want to create an endless loop where he just starts patrolling this area back and forth. So I need to throw something in the middle here. I need to add node, and I need to go to logical and any. That means I'm going to slip something in the middle here. I'm going to drag that down, drag that down. Okay. So this means I can have any input and a single output. So I want the output of start to go here. I want the succeed to go into another input, and this output, let's see, this output to go to sync up here. So now you see I got the output going to sync. Or if it succeeds, I think I kind of screwed that up, didn't I? If it succeeds, let's see, where do I want to go? I got to work this out in my head here. If it goes in, it goes out. If it succeeds, it goes to sync. If it succeeds for this, then it goes to in. Okay, so now when I start, I go to here. And I go from here to output to here. When he succeeds, I go to here. When he succeeds, it goes to here. When he succeeds, it goes to here, here, here. Because you see him working down here? Takes a moment, but eventually you work it out. And it's actually working in the game. As you can see right here, this is actual proof that it's working. Now if I were to jump into the game, he'd probably realize it was here. So I'd have to jump into the game way down here and watch him from a distance. And another note is that if I jump into the game while he's in the middle of this, while this button is checked for the AI physics, he may get confused and just not work at all. So uncheck that and then jump into the game. And then I just want to file save. And generally what you would do is, let's see, you need to save this. Very important here. This graph is going to end up disappearing on you when you save your map and close up. It doesn't just remember with your map, I found out. So you go to File, and you go to Save, or Save As, or Export Selection. If you have everything selected, you can just drag and select everything. But I think that's silly. I think what you should do is just go File, Save, and then create it. And I like to name it the same as my map, so I know exactly what I'm working on. Test2, XML, save, Done. Now I can go to File, save my map, so I know everything's there. I can generate my surface. I can do high, low quality. I'm just doing the basic quality. Blah, blah, blah. It does its thing. And yes. Okay. Maybe you want to change the time of day and that kind of stuff. That's my previous tutorial. Export to engine. And then I can go to Control G. And I can check out the map. Now I jump too high in. And he thinks I'm watching him. He thinks I'm too close. So in order for this to work, I have to be really, really far away. And I don't know where I would be in order to actually see him doing his thing. What if I was over here? I can't see from here. If I was over here, I still can't see from here. I think he realizes I'm here. Yeah, he does. Alright, well, if you had a high point or something like that and you can zoom in, then you would notice that that's what's going on, that he is actually walking that path, just like if you click this AI physics. There you go. Now you can end up collecting, selecting and doing all kinds of interesting things. I hope this tutorial... Yes. Oh, wait. File, save, thank you. I hope this tutorial has been helpful, and I hope it hasn't been too long. You know, it's been kind of long. I hope it hasn't been too much. And my mouse button will not allow me to pick anything else. There you go. Okay, so, you know, enjoy this. I hope it works out for you in making your mods, your maps, and whatever. Head over to modsonline.com. If you have any questions or comments, you can post them in the forums. We'll do our best to help you. And from now on, you know what? Do what you got to do, and happy mapping.